What is the most valued thing to do as an American citizen? The answer to that is voting. Voting can affect how a county's budget is distributed and the elected officials that govern our state and congressional legislators. One of the most major things that can affect how we vote is redistricting. Redistricting is the redrawing of congressional and state legislative districts. A district is divided up by population. There are 3 major districts that we will be talking about today. The first is a congressional district, which is divided within a state, and each district that is found within that state can only elect 1 member to represent them for the House and Congress. Today, there are a total of 435 congressional districts found within the United States. A state legislative district is the district from which each member that is elected into a state governmental position or a position that is like a state governmental position. The next one that we'll be talking about only pertains to Texas, but it could also pertain to other states as well, because not every state models this type of district. And this is the single member district. This district is an electoral district that can only have an elected 1 single representative for each district. In 2013, there were a total of 7 single-member districts found in McLennan County. In order to understand redistricting more fully, we will look into its history. The first major case that affected how redistricting happens today in the United States is Baker versus Carr, which ruled in 1962 from the Supreme Court that state legislators would take more control over how redistricting occurred and how soon it would occur since the previous redistricting happened. The next major case was Wisbury versus Sanders and Reynolds versus Sim, which happened in 1964. Now, the Supreme Court ruled in this case that redistricting would happen every 10 years according with the national census. This means that redistricting plans is under the control of the state legislators. Now, Texas is special in the fact that it is under the Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, which means that in 2013, when it was enacted, this meant that there was less than the eligible amount of voters that either registered or voted, and this was either due to laws that we had that prevented them from voting or for other discriminatory or intents that the state had towards them. Now, this means that the state is a covered district, which means that the state cannot pass any redistricting plans without the approval of the Department of Justice or the Supreme Court. Now, in order to be pre-cleared, the state must show that they do not have discriminatory intent towards any voters, or they're limiting minority voters from voting who they want to vote for. Now, there are other laws that the state must look into before trying to make a new plan. It must fit within the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments and the Voting Rights Act. So this basically means that they cannot have discriminatory intent to any voters, and if there is, they would be violating and the plan would not be passed. Now, there are other factors that the state legislator must be aware of, and this is they cannot practice gerrymandering, reverse racial gerrymandering, and setting incumbents against each other. Gerrymandering is a manipulation of district boundaries to favor a particular party or class. Reverse racial gerrymandering is a practice of creating weirdly shaped districts in order to neglect certain racial citizens, and setting incumbents against each other is setting people that are already in office that are running for re-election that are within the same party to go against each other. Now, there are other factors that go into making a plan for redistricting, and that is meeting the variance differences. Now, there is a maximum variance and there is an average variance. Maximum variance is the difference between the most highly populated district and the least populated district. Cannot exceed 10%. Now, there is also the average variance, which is the differences between all of the districts combined in a county. And now there isn't a set limitation on them, but the most widely set upon percentage is around 4%. And it is important to understand the rules that go into redistricting, because in more recent years, there has been more corruption within the Texas government, particularly with the redistricting process. And the corruption of these new districts can really affect us on a day-to-day basis as well, because it can affect who we are allowed to vote for. And who we vote for is who represents us on a congressional, state, city level, and our representatives make the decisions for us, whether it be on infrastructure, on politics, with foreign affairs. It is important that if you have any questions about how the redistricting process will happen this year, please contact your district representative. You can find them on your district website, or you can go start out on the McLennan County website and find your district there and then your representative. I really hope that this video helped you understand the redistricting process even further, who redistricts, and how it can affect you.